Deep in the heart of Northern California's towering redwood forests, there lived a community of Bigfoots, hidden away from the prying eyes of humans. The forest was their sanctuary, a place where they could live in peace, away from the growing encroachment of civilization. Among them was Grok, a wise and cautious elder who had seen many seasons come and go. Grok lived with his family, a mate and two younglings, near a secluded stream where the dense canopy of trees shielded them from the sky. Life was good for Grok and his kin, filled with the rhythms of nature, foraging for food, teaching the young ones the ways of the forest, and staying vigilant against the rare but dangerous human intrusions. But one summer day, their peace was shattered by something or someone unlike anything they had ever encountered. It started on a sweltering afternoon. The heat was unusual for this part of the forest, where the thick trees usually provided a cool respite. Grok was leading his younglings through a lesson on how to forage for edible roots when he noticed something strange ascend in the air, foreign and unnatural. He signaled for his younglings to stay quiet, their large eyes widening in curiosity. Grok sniffed the air again. It was a human scent, but mixed with something else, an overpowering floral fragrance that made his nose twitch. He had encountered humans before, usually campers or hikers who inadvertently wandered too close to their territory, but this was different. Cautiously, Grok led his family deeper into the forest, away from the scent. But as they moved, the scent seemed to follow them, growing stronger and more distinct. It wasn't long before Grok heard the sound of rustling leaves and the unmistakable sound of human footsteps. Peering through the underbrush, Grok saw her. A woman, clad in nothing but a brightly colored bikini, her skin glistening with sweat in the afternoon sun. Her long hair was wild and tangled, and her eyes were wide with a manic intensity. In one hand, she clutched a long, crude spear, and in the other, a camera that she used to snap pictures of the forest around her. Grok had no idea what to make of this strange human. He had seen people dressed in all kinds of odd clothing, but never anything like this. And the way she moved, stalking through the trees with a hunter's precision, set his nerves on edge. He could sense the danger she posed, not just to him, but to his entire family. The woman, whose name was Linda, had been obsessing over Bigfoot for years. She had watched every documentary, read every book, and spent countless nights on forums dedicated to tracking the elusive creature. But Linda wasn't content with simply finding Bigfoot. She wanted to capture one, to prove to the world that she was the greatest hunter who ever lived. And she was willing to do anything to achieve her goal, even if it meant stalking through the forests of Northern California in nothing but a bikini. Grok retreated, moving silently through the dense foliage, but Linda was relentless. She had picked up his trail, following the broken branches and disturbed earth that marked his passage. Her camera clicked incessantly as she muttered to herself, her mind focused entirely on the hunt. The Bigfoot family moved quickly, but Linda was faster, driven by her obsession. She crashed through the underbrush, her spear ready, shouting at the top of her lungs. "Come out, Bigfoot! I know you're out here. You can't hide from me." Grok's mate, Sarah, urged the younglings to climb a nearby tree, hoping to keep them safe. Grok knew he had to do something to protect his family. He had faced dangers before, bears, wolves, even the occasional armed hunter, but this was different. This human was relentless, and her unpredictable behavior made her even more dangerous. Grok decided to lead Linda away from his family. With a deep breath, he let out a loud, guttural roar that echoed through the forest. Linda's head snapped in his direction, her eyes lighting up with excitement. She had found him. "There you are, you big hairy beast," she yelled, charging toward the sound. Grok turned and ran, his massive form moving with surprising speed through the trees. Linda was fast on his heels, her camera bouncing against her chest as she ran. Grok led her away from his family, deeper into the forest, hoping to lose her in the dense undergrowth. But Linda was determined. She had spent months preparing for this moment, and she wasn't going to let her prize escape. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, half crazed with the thrill of the chase. She imagined herself capturing Bigfoot, bringing him back to civilization, and becoming a legend. As the hours passed, Linda's relentless pursuit began to take its toll. The heat, combined with her exertion, was pushing her to the brink of exhaustion. Sweat poured down her face, and her muscles screamed in protest, but she refused to stop. The obsession had taken hold of her completely, driving her forward despite the growing signs that she was losing her grip on reality. Grok, meanwhile, was growing desperate. He had led Linda far from his home, but he couldn't seem to shake her. Every time he thought he had lost her, she would reappear, crashing through the trees with that crazed look in her eyes. Grok knew he had to end this chase before it was too late. He couldn't allow this human to find his family, and he couldn't lead her any further into his territory. With a heavy heart, he decided to confront her. He found a clearing in the forest, surrounded by towering redwoods, and stopped. Linda burst into the clearing moments later, panting heavily, but still clutching her spear and camera. "There you are," she gasped, her voice a mixture of triumph and madness. "I've got you now." Grok stood his ground, his massive frame towering over the crazed woman. He let out a warning growl, hoping to scare her off, but Linda only laughed. "You think you can scare me? I've been hunting you for years. I'm not afraid of you." She raised her spear and charged, but Grok was ready. With a swift motion, he swatted the spear aside, sending it flying into the trees. Linda staggered back, but quickly recovered, grabbing her camera and snapping picture after picture. Grok roared again, louder this time, but Linda only grinned, her eyes wild with excitement. "You're not going to get away from me," she screamed, lunging at him with her bare hands. Grok easily deflected her, but Linda kept coming, her hands clawing at his fur, her camera forgotten on the ground. Grok tried to push her away, but she was like a woman possessed, her mind completely consumed by her obsession. Realizing that reasoning with her was futile, Grok decided to end this once and for all. He grabbed Linda by the shoulders and lifted her off the ground, holding her at arm's length. For a moment, they locked eyes, his, full of ancient wisdom and sorrow, hers, filled with madness and determination. "Let me go!" Linda gasped, struggling against his grip. Grok hesitated, a part of him not wanting to harm this human, despite the danger she posed. But he knew he had no choice. With a heavy heart, he threw her to the ground, hoping the impact would knock some sense into her. Linda hit the ground hard, the wind knocked out of her. She lay there for a moment, dazed, but the madness in her eyes only grew stronger. She pushed herself up, spitting out blood from a split lip, and glared at Grok. "You think you can beat me? You think you can just throw me around and walk away? I'll show you. I'll show you all." Before Grok could react, Linda grabbed a sharp rock from the ground and lunged at him, slashing at his legs. Grok roared in pain, stumbling back, but Linda kept coming, her eyes wild with rage. In that moment, Grok realized that this wasn't just about survival anymore. This human was beyond reason, beyond saving. She would never stop, not until one of them was dead. With a heavy heart, Grok did what he had to do. He grabbed Linda by the neck, lifting her off the ground once more. This time, there was no hesitation. With a swift motion, he snapped her neck, ending the madness once and for all. Linda's body went limp in his hands, her eyes still wide with the remnants of her obsession. Grok gently laid her down on the forest floor, his heart heavy with sorrow. He had never wanted this. All he had ever wanted was to live in peace, to protect his family and his home. The forest was silent once more as Grok stood over Linda's body. The madness that had driven her was gone, leaving only a broken shell behind. Grok looked down at the woman who had pursued him so relentlessly, and felt a pang of sadness. She had been consumed by her obsession, driven to the brink of insanity by her desire to capture something that was never meant to be caught. With a heavy sigh, Grok turned away from the body and began the long walk back to his family. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees as he made his way through the forest. He knew that the events of this day would haunt him for a long time.